Okay, welcome back. Sorry so long since I had an update. I've been working on this just a little bit at a time. As they say, that's all you can do, really, because if you're asleep, you can't be working on it, and if you're working, you can't be working on it, and if your family has a big family activity, you can't be working on it. So just on the little 5-minute segments between going to work and getting home, and working on a little bit here and there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the basic little things that I've been doing, and this is going to be like a 2-segment video in the same day. Show you what I've done so far, and then I've been working on it today, and show you what I did today. So yeah, I've been painting all the parts. I like to do this. I like to have a lot of parts ready to go before I start assembling, so that I can get more assembly done. And see more happen quickly. And I wanted to do an update now because, as you see here, the Driveshaft and Transmission, if I don't film it now, because that cover is going to go on there, and watch what happens. Once that's on, the you'll never see the transmission again, ever. Because you're not going to be able to see, the engine's going to be there. Let me go ahead and put that in place. Basic placement. So that's covering the front there, and you can't really see back down in there. And on the underside, this thing is completely solid. So, you know, take a good look at the transmission. That's the last time anybody's going to see it. Now, that brings up another point here. Todd H. Had shown me his die-cast, and in the front there, he was showing underneath, up through the engine. And I suppose that's impossible, or that plate comes off, or something. But, or the real car is wrong. Maybe the real car is wrong. But from what I can see here, the bottom of the race car is completely smooth, and so you can't see up in there. But it was good for reference because I could tell that the entire engine is silver. Now, any of you can look that up if you disagree. K-Tech is making these engines, and they are completely silver. Now I've got to go in there. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to paint the letters. We'll see how well I can do. Of course, I'm right after coffee here, so you can see how shaky I am. I think Chris is probably the only one that can paint while drinking coffee, because if I have it in my system anywhere, I'm all shaky. But that is that. So these parts are about to go on, and those brackets are there, and then these are all the control arms and various parts there, and the dash and firewall, and that's the back panel between the engine and the driver's compartment. Of course, the roll cage is just about ready to go. Just got to paint the padded parts of the seats, and then the wheels, I got them painted. I still have to sand them, but they're ready to go. Now the body is something I'm going to be working on today, because as I noticed afterwards, the back has to be black. So I'm going to have to mask right on that curved line there and right across the top, and then mask off the entire body and paint the back black today, which is no problem, but it has to be done. I'm looking at the differences in the cars here, and I'm realizing now I'm going to be building the number 3. And so the differences are right on the sides of the wings is black as opposed to yellow, and the side view mirrors are black as opposed to yellow. Also, headlight covers are black on that one, and they're yellow on this one. So I've got a few more parts to paint satin black or flat black. Also got to decide if I'm going to be painting the underside of the body. I'm going to have to look. I don't want to, because that is a lot of careful masking, and if you miss one, then you've got overspray on your car, and with such a good paint job I don't want to take the risk, so we'll see how much gets covered up with just the regular parts. I bet I'm going to have to do it. Otherwise, I have the Digger Cuda. Still working on that. I've decided to wire the engine. That's down in that box. Otherwise, I've painted the inside of the bottom part of the body. Now that I did by masking. I masked it off with the frog tape, and then sprayed with the Satin Black. And today I've got to do the same thing with the top, and looking forward to it. And that's basically the update on where I am this morning, and then I'll come back and show what I did today and where I'll be tonight. But in the meantime, I'm going to show this clip. It's really hard to find clips on this car, but I found a couple. I think the first one I'm going to show here is going to be the one where Earnhardt Sr. is talking about. Earnhardt Sr. is talking about the car, and he really liked it. You could tell. So I'm going to put that clip in right now.
Peter and Tom wanted to know what my dream car was. Well, this is it. It's Corvette Racer, and the reason why is I've talked about running the 24-hour race for a lot of years in Daytona. And Chevrolet and the Corvette guys came up with this deal last year, really, but we couldn't put it together because of my neck injuries and all. So this year was able to put it together. Now this is a race car. This is a neat car to drive, and that's one thing that's great about it. I went down and tested the car, and I've got a Corvette that I drive around the street, but it's nothing as fancy and nothing as get up and go and also stop and turn as good as this race car does. And this is going to be a fun car to race in the 24-hour race, but a fun car and a great memory for me. Matter of fact, might even build a street car just like this to play with on the street. But this is, I think, an ultimate dream car right here. Now, you talking about serious brakes. This baby's got serious brakes on it. It uses an AP brake caliper, but it uses a big steel disc rotor just like a factory car's got it, so it's a little bit larger. Now this thing will stop. Unlike a Winston Cup car, we use a little bit smaller brakes on it. We've got good brakes, but not as much as this car has. And you talk about motor. This car has got serious motor in it. It's around 625 horsepower, which, you know, a Winston Cup engine and a race engine's got around 720 to 740, a lot more than that. But you're talking about a serious restricted race motor. This engine is a little bit restricted. It's a 427 cubic inch conversion engine, but we have to run a restrictor on it because of the class we run it in the Daytona 24 hours. But you talking about torque. Now this thing has got a lot of low-end torque. Used to Winston Cup cars, we're torquing up around 8,000 and shifting at 8,600. Maybe we rev to 9,000 at different times. But this thing, you're shifting at 6,200. Your max RPM's at 6,500. So you got a lot of low-end torque. 3,000 RPMs up, that thing is a bear. So you got to be really careful on fresh tires or right out of the pits on fresh tires or cold tires or a cold racetrack. Got to be really careful. Get those tires heated up and get going before you really stand on this baby. Stand on this baby too much too soon, you'll be around and around and in the infield. A lot of torque on this hood. You talking about a beautiful car. This is a beautiful car, but all this beauty translates into downforce. She's got tremendous downforce with the spoiler package on it and the front air dam and everything. The way it's built, the car is just tremendous on sticking to the racetrack. This car running 140, 50 miles an hour, you can absolutely jam on the brakes and it will not slide the tires because it has so much downforce. Tremendous downforce. Really, it runs good through the air, good downforce, good speed, good cornering capabilities because of the aerodynamics package. It looks great too. So to look this good, this car here would probably cost you around $250,000. But hey, if it runs and drives like this thing, it'd be worth it, wouldn't it?
And welcome back. Yeah, how about that senior? Now he sure liked that Corvette C5-R. He spoke quite highly of it. That was something to see him talking about this car. But anyway, back to what I'm doing. Probably wondering, what are we looking at? Give you one more second to guess, and then I will swing it around, and there we go. I wanted to show, some people might be wondering when I was mentioning that I've got to paint the back of that. see right there, the back has to be black. And now you might be wondering, how do you get a smooth finish? How do you spray both? I think most people probably would have sprayed the back black first, but I am notorious for forgetting obvious things like that, and I always end up having to engineer it the other way. And so what I'm doing here is, in essence, taping off the entire body and leaving just the back open. Using this frog tape, now I have complete confidence this is going to work. And so what you do is you carefully tape around the area that you need, and then that gives you a big buffer zone to tape something larger like this entire piece of computer paper, because you have to protect the rest of the body, of course, and you also have to stay aware of things such as these holes. I have tape on the back of those so that it won't spray through. And ready to go. So next scene should be that completely painted, and hopefully with paper off, and we'll see how that goes. And there we go. So it's completely painted. Not perfect, but of course that was a kind of an extreme situation where you would have to mask that much off, and that oddly, because the contours were very strange there. The with under here, there's only just the tiniest little lip there to stick the tape to. So down at the bottom, it didn't quite exactly get it all, but I'll just touch that up with a brush. And it bled through just a touch at the top, which completely doesn't matter, because if you look at that lip there, that entire lip is supposed to be black as well. So I'll just be painting that whole thing with a brush, and that won't matter. What's important though is this line on the side. As you can see, on one side it came out really nice and crisp, and on the other side not so much, but the slightest little bit of wet sanding with 800 or 1600, and that's going to come right off with no problem. So I'm going to say this was a success, especially when you consider what happened. Now I had just gone for the can of Rust-Oleum black. I have really good results with Rust-Oleum, but unlike what happened with the yellow, the yellow, of course, I was using a brand new can, and the black I was using a used can. It was about half empty. And what happened is it clogged on me as I'm spraying, and after all that masking, I didn't want to give up. I wanted to keep painting right then, so I grabbed very quickly the cheapo. This is the only thing I had left in gloss black, the 99-cent Walmart Color Place black. And so I put it on there, second coat and third coat, kind of really fast, like 2-minute flash coats. And then I grabbed the clear, the tester's clear. I've already thrown the can down the driveway. The tester's clear, and put 3 or 4 coats of clear on there to try to smooth out the kind of an orange peel thing that was happening. And did pretty good, not perfect. I will probably end up having to polish on the back a little bit as well. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, depending on the way it dries. This, of course, is still soaking wet, and time will tell, so we'll see what's going on there. In the meantime, I got the drivetrain onto the chassis while I was doing that. That's all glued on now. It's about to be, you know, covered up forever by that piece, where you'll never see it again. And we'll see. The day is not going well. Next goes on the roll cage, as you see on the instructions there. We'll see how much of that I get in there. May get the cage on, may just get parts of the cage painted. I will certainly get the radiator on, but that may be it. So otherwise, the only other thing that I'm planning on doing today is painting the bottom of the Digger Cuda body with the flat black. And so we'll see how that goes. So be right back. Okay, and now getting ready to spray the underside of the Digger Cuda. If you can see what I've done this time, I didn't use any paper because the thing's so skinny. It was easy enough to just cover the entire thing with tape. And basically all you have to do is be careful, make sure every single opening is taped up very, very, very good. You gotta press the tape up against all of the lines of every opening to keep it from spraying under and getting onto your body paint. And that's what I've done here. And so, yeah, I'm gonna lose the official round 2 models logo. Well, no, I guess it's not round. Doesn't even say round 2. Interesting. It just says Plymouth and Chrysler. But I'll be losing that. I'm gonna be painting over that, and I'll be back, and that'll pretty much do it for today because a bunch of things are getting in the way and it's getting frustrating. So let's see how this turns out. And there it is, all nice and painted on the underside now. I'll get up a little bit closer here to show you how nice and smooth that paint comes out. Now this is the, let me bring the can down. That's the Rust-Oleum flat black, and this is great stuff. I had an issue with the, I have the Satin Black. Now, as you can see, as you might have seen on the underside of the, or like right about there, see that black there? That's the Rust-Oleum Satin Black, and that's pretty much the way it comes out all the time, kind of a little bit bumpy like that. But I hadn't realized that the flat black, if it has a thick coat, it's having trouble focusing on that for sure. Give it a second. There we go. If you have a nice thick coat of flat black on there, it comes out a kind of a satin. Now, for comparison's sake, let me bring down the lower half here. Now, the lower half was painted with Rust-Oleum Satin Black, and then the upper half with flat black. And also in the process, just the other day, the Satin Black can just gave up on me. I've been having trouble with that can ever since I bought it. You know what, I really don't think I'm going to buy the Satin Black anymore, especially knowing this, that the flat black will come out kind of satiny if it's on there thick. So, and also while I was painting this one, it had occurred to me, you know what would look really cool is take a car that's normally super shiny, and I can't get the one car out of my head. It's the Lamborghini Diablo. Normally, you know, spectacular shiny finish. I think it would be awesome to do the whole thing in this flat black. I mean, you know, you got to do one in shiny. Like say you had 2 of them. Paint one super shiny and paint one just flat black, just exactly what it's not supposed to be wearing, you know. But that's just an idea. I think I'm going to do that. Oh, and also in the side note here, look at the tape. This is the tape that was over the whole car. Let me get straight up and over that. It all came off in one piece, and all the little openings completely. This will show you how sharp this tape is. They're all there, except for the ones that I had a separate piece that I put in that little nostril, and that piece is right over there. The little nostril for the fake shaker right there. But that was just funny. You know, I saw it all coming off of one piece. I was like, gosh, is it gonna come off in one piece? And it did. So I had to show that. That's a trip, isn't it? But now I'm gonna flip the body over to show you that all that tape didn't mess with it at all. Still nice and super shiny. And but now it is, of course, contrasted with that black inside. And if you were going to try to put the, you know, once you have it together, get this one turned around. Once you had it together, and you were going to do something like propping the body up, then you're going to be able to see up in there, and so you wanted to make sure that was painted. And yeah, so then I'm facing the same situation here on the Corvette. I think that I was probably already tempting fate messing with the back there. And to go through and tape the whole thing up again, I think that I don't have the guts to do it. So I think that probably what I'll do is I'll just do some touch-up with a brush on the areas, anything that's going to show through or be obvious. I'm just going to touch up, probably even with just an acrylic black, probably acrylic flat black. And I think that will be good enough. I hope. I don't know. We'll see if I allow myself to do that. Otherwise, I'm just showing you this part is in it's in mock-up here. Now the engine and drivetrain and everything is all glued in now, and getting ready to put the axle, the metal axle through there, and the wheels and tires. But I of course I still have to sand those. I didn't get everything done today that I thought I was going to, but I never do. And you know, there's a lot more to go here, like obvious oversights like that back wall there. I only painted one side, so now I've got to go back and paint the other side of that. Luckily I have plenty of that paint left over, and that's just the Walmart paint. That's the 99-cent Walmart paint. It takes a long time to dry, but it's pretty good. These two pieces were also painted with that paint, and it came out just fine. All these pieces here were the end of the Rust-Oleum Satin Black can, and I ended up throwing that down the driveway because I was so frustrated with it. But so don't buy the Satin Black, just get the flat black. This can is awesome. Now I keep going back to this can. Now ordinarily, like say for example, like the yellow, if you were going to this one, there we go. So this is the can that I painted both bodies with. I painted this one and the Digger Cuda there all in the same time, and the reason why is that being such a big can, you want to spray as much as you can while it's brand new, because a color like this, a shiny color and enamel, you don't want to risk it. You don't want to go back and paint anything else with this, like ever. You know, you keep it for little touch-ups on little tiny pieces or something. But this one, never ever, since it's been used, never paint a body with it again. No, you get a brand new can for that. And that is just a general rule that you have to go by, or otherwise you're going to be beyond frustrated. So this is going to do it for today. Got some things done. There's certainly plenty left to be done, and it's starting to go together quickly here, so I'm guessing the next update is going to be sooner rather than later. I didn't pull the engine out on the Digger Cuda at all today, but I'm going to be wiring that up with some neat blue wires, little tiny blue wires that I got that I'll show you on the next video. I don't know what they are. I found them at a construction site, and they look perfect to me, so I'm going to use them. And that will just about do it. You know, here at the end of this video, I think, well, what I'm going to be doing on YouTube, I found the actual Earnhardt Jr. crash, where it was the newscast from Speed Vision, where they were talking about minor burns, but it really wasn't minor burns. I'll show it at the end here. You judge for yourself whether even with a flame suit you can get through that with minor burns. But I know that he had trouble in the next race, where I think it was the next NASCAR race. He had to have somebody help him drive. He drove as far as he could, and he had to take a break because it's hot in cars. And I don't remember who it was that came in and drove for him, but somebody did. But anyway, I'll end with that clip. But I just want to say, and I'm not going to turn the camera around because I'm just ridiculously dirty today, because I'm working in the garden and working on models at the same time, and that's a recipe for disaster, really. It's amazing these parts are as clean as they are because my hands are not. Now, and boy, I'm not. But anyway, there's going to be another, probably 2 updates I can see. I'm really anxious to start decaling the body up and get going on the rest of this. But happy to show you. I got some progress going on, and appreciate you watching. Stay tuned, and later.
Have repercussions for other NASCAR stars with dreams of moonlighting. Dale Earnhardt Jr. suffered moderate burns in a fiery crash during the Sunday morning warm-up for the American Le Mans Series race at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. Earnhardt has minor burns and will spend the night at the UC Davis Medical Center in Sacramento, but the video shows how dangerous this accident really was. On his first lap of the session, Earnhardt's yellow Corvette shot off the track, clouded the wall, and slid to a stop on track. Then the leaking fuel exploded, quickly engulfing the car in a ball of flames. Here's a look from on board the car. Watch for the fuel splash after the impact. Right there. It leaves a trail on the ground and runs the length of the car. Earnhardt appeared to be stunned as he sat in the car, but he sized up the situation quickly, and it's a good thing he did. The corner workers were ill-prepared to fight a fire of this magnitude, but Earnhardt was able to get himself out of the car, at which point the track personnel were able to pull him from the wreck. The car appeared to be completely demolished. Earnhardt was able to move around, but it was decided to airlift him to the hospital on a stretcher. There he was treated for moderate burns to his inner legs and his chin. He's being held overnight at the University of California Davis Medical Center. He should be able to race next weekend in New Hampshire.
Speed